psyched! Oh. Alright, welcome back to another episode of making art in my garage late at night. Today I have some synthetic paper up on the board. It's called Yupo paper. It's made out of polypropylene, which is basically the same thing as a plastic bottle cap, or maybe even a plastic bottle. It's a highly recyclable plastic used in many commercial uses. But it's a tree-free plastic paper, essentially. It's a synthetic paper. It feels like plastic. It feels like a smooth sheet of plastic. I don't think it soaks up water. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I bought it for a project a long time ago because I saw an artist that I like working on this stuff, but being a super smart mega genius, I didn't look up what the stuff was. I was like, oh, it's just a brand of paper, Yupo paper. Looks good, I'll try it out. So I bought a 10-pack of this stuff, which it's not super expensive, but it's not cheap because I got like this big size. And I remember drawing on it, and it takes ink, but it takes a while to dry. You have to just let it sit for a while. So what I'm gonna do is do a little ink experiment. I'm gonna draw an inky skull. I'm just gonna go to town on this thing and see what happens. I'm gonna start off with my favorite, the China marker. So I think I've said this a billion times, but I have to be much better about staying away from the edges. I tend to draw very close to the edges. I don't know why. It's just a bad habit. I think it's because how I was talking yesterday or a couple days ago, where when you're sitting down and you're working on something, then when I'm sitting down and working on something, I'll draw in the middle of the paper something very small. But when it's up on a wall, I tend to just go ham on it, which is it's a little frustrating. Anyways, all right. So without further ado, let's get a little reference man over here, prop him up. All right. So staying away from the edges. Oh wow, that feels interesting. Feels nice. Usually when you draw with the China marker on paper, it's kind of rough. It hops a little bit. It's almost like a little bit chalky. And then when you draw on a very smooth surface like glass, it sticks to it. But this is just perfect. I feel like it was like made for it. It's kind of weird. All right, drawing in the time-lapse video. At least I didn't get that far. And actually, it's good to start a little bit because I've noticed that if I try to start a time-lapse video and it's pointed at a blank piece of paper, the camera doesn't really know what to focus on, and then I'll start drawing and it will have focused on something else and the whole video will be blurry. So that's a pain in the bum. I have to get right in front of the camera. Sorry, camera. Come on, let's pull up a chair. That looks fine. I'm trying to keep it loose because I want this image to be a little bit more just loose and not so rigid like my usual stuff. I feel like I still need to loosen up. I'm just not quite getting to the state of where I just care too much about what I think is the end result. I'm worried too much about the end result, where I shouldn't be worried about the end result at all. It's one of my things to add to my long list of things that I just need to improve and work on. That's pretty cool. It doesn't really smear. I'll put on a glove just to look cool. A little bit of contraception. Little lines. Just look like little squiggles. So I have a lot of black ink things. We got Crink, Posca, Molotow, Uni paint marker. I think I got this in the Highland or something many years ago. Squeezer, mini grog squeezer. And of course another Crink is the best, I feel like. Just some, I really want it to drip a bit. That's what I'm hoping for, is some drips. I don't think there's enough ink in here for drips, to be honest. I've been using this paint pen for a couple of years. That's how long I've had it. It's been a long time.
Let you wanna talk. Don't talk back, let you wanna talk.
Well, let's just, a little recap here. Alright, so we did some Drippy skulls, Drippy Cowboy skulls, that was fun. Then we did this disaster piece. I think this might be fun to try and build upon when it dries. I'm not terribly upset with it. I just think it needs work. Like, it's a good start. It got a little, when I started stippling, that's when I knew I was in trouble. That was my signal in my brain when I knew that things had gone wrong. And that's when I just started going crazy. So, what we're going to do, we're going to let it dry. I should have put 2 gloves on. Going to let it dry. And then I have a bunch of other inks we can go in with some other colors and see what we can do. Alright, so thank you for joining me today. And thank you for joining me yesterday. And thank you for joining me all the other days. I really appreciate your time. I love you. I appreciate you. And I will see you tomorrow. How interesting. I'm learning so much.